YouTube, welcome to another Comic Book Community 411, and our special guest tonight is Cliff. Cliff, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So, before we jump into the questions that we ask, the first four questions that we ask all guests on the 411, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Oh my! Don't give me an opening to talk about myself. We'll be here for like 2 hours. Well, first of all, as you can see, I'm not one for humidity. I got the AC cranking on full. But yeah, I've just been at this a really long time. And I had a podcast that was actually about the Versus System card game, which originally was both a Marvel game and a DC game, and that you played with them together, and they had major tournaments for Upper Deck, right? And so that was called The Ring Is Chosen. Then that game collapsed in an Upper Deck scenario, right? And we'll just skip that and all the legal logistics. But if you just Google Upper Deck Yu-Gi-Oh, you'll find, and Konami, you'll find out all about it. So then I just try to reboot The Ring Is Chosen on my own, and just do comic book reviews with my friends. And then after that, another friend of mine was working at a store upstate, and they wanted to do more content for the store. And he saw a video that I just threw on YouTube, which if you see my Cliff on Comics YouTube, you'll see the old video where I'm just talking about the comics I bought that week. He thought that was great, and we did another series called Read, Watch, Play. And I have some of those videos saved to my YouTube as well, because I think they're gone now. But at least the one I did with New York Comic Con, where I got to interview the cast to the tick, that was amazing. So I'm glad that I've got that preserved. And then after that, we attempted something else, and then I was really going through a bad period in my life, and I just couldn't remain committed. And then there was God, see, this is what happens, just too much talking. So and then there was another period, and then a little over a year ago, I ran into Sam, who we went to junior high school together. It's that's fun, by the way. So we went to junior high school and high school, obviously. We're almost exactly the same age, just days apart. So yeah, he was like, oh yeah, I've been doing this thing, whatever, and check out my channel. I was like, okay, great. And he's like, oh, I want to do a council and bring everyone together. I want to bring the community together. I want the Council of Comics to be for everyone, about everyone. I'm like, okay, great. That sounds wonderful. I love it. I've got experience. Let's roll. And so, and now here we are. And now we're doing the Council of Comics, and, we've been meeting fantastic people like yourself, and, trying to be active in the community, which is a feat, by the way, people. It is a feat.
Oh, it is. It is. There's a lot of videos to watch.
So I mean, I can't keep track. I will say that I'm not going to name names, right? But I will say this: people who just down stuff, and everyone in the video is just downing things. I'm like, okay, we're not. I'm like, I need someone to stick up for the thing that you're reading, unless it's really super trash, like Dark Crisis. Then that's it. Then I will allow.
Yeah, we needed some positivity, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there's that husband and wife duo. The name isn't coming to me, but I love when he's like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's not for me. And she's like, I read the first issue. I thought it was wonderful. And I'm like, see, this is what I like.
Yeah, I enjoy, having there's a couple husband and wife teams that I watch, and it's good to have that contrast, and the fact that you've got a husband and wife into the hobby together, because normally it's
very
not
rare.
Yeah, you don't have that partner that's partner in crime in comic books. So
yeah, no, but I really like them. I wish I could remember the name. I know she's a redhead with glasses.
Only one that comes to mind is Bruce and Stephanie.
That sounds familiarish. Do they read comics?
But now, if you're not familiar with Cliff, I have links down below for his Instagram, and not for his channel, but more the channel Council of Comics, the channel that he's more active on. So that link is down below.
Can I just tell you that I felt I don't want to use the word coerced, but I felt obligated to put a new video up on my channel because I'm interacting with all you folks. online. And then my friend posted a video and he mentioned that like, oh, I don't think Mongol's very popular. And I was like, oh, I'll just do like a few minutes on Mongol, which turned into a minute on Mongol and like 6 minutes on Superman. But still, I was like, I'm like, here's something, folks. Like, just, I promise I'll do better.
All right. So we've got a video to go check out on your channel then, your own channel.
And I always, and the live stream also goes to my channel as well, just in case, you
Okay.
know. Although obviously, please go to the Council of Comics. Please like and subscribe. You know,
Yes.
we've got a new contest going on. So if you watch last Monday's live episode, you'll know how to participate. You know, it's going to be a series of questions all month about particular episodes of the podcast, YouTube series, whatever we want to call it. And then like if you answer that trivia correctly, you know, we'll get in touch. There'll be a fun little prize. Oh my God, I forgot what the prize was, didn't I?
Wasn't it an error cover?
It's the error cover of Night Terrors #1.
Yes, I think that's it, right? Yeah,
Yes,
like the glow in the
that is
dark
it.
one, but it was
That was a good call. Man, I wish I wish I had what do you call it? I wish I had a team here to do the foundation, the powder.
little hair and makeup team.
Yeah, that's what I want. A whole hair. I just want that. I just want the $2,000 a day hair and makeup team to keep me looking crisp at all times.
All right. Well, before we get into the questions, why don't I check in real quick with the chat? Lucretius is here. Lucretius always the first one in. Phil, hello from South Carolina. Neil is here. Neil collects. Neil, appreciate you being here. Gene is here. Gene Malo. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Marcus Circumstance is here. Good evening, sir. Hey, and there they are. The Council of Comics is here.
Woo! Thank you, Sam.
S-Von 82.
Oh, S-Von.
Let's see. Scrolling. Naman, the comic bookworms here. So appreciate you being here. I think I got everybody in the chat. So appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us, getting to know Cliff a little bit. So Cliff, I got it. The first question is, and these first 4 questions I ask all my guests. So how did you get into comic book collecting?
So I was like, okay, so the easy answer, I had like a few comics, right, as a kid, but I was 7 years old when John Byrne's Man of Steel came out, and it was all over the news. It was like on Eyewitness News 7, right? So I was like, what? You know? And they're like, yes, John Byrne is moving to comic books, moving from Marvel Comics to DC Comics, and he's taking on Superman, and he's going to make him a little more human. And they asked silly questions of prominent comic shop owners in New York City, like, you know, like, oh, does this mean we're going to see Lois Lane with like Hulk powers? And they were like, I don't think that's what we're going to see. But I was excited, and there was a store not unlike Walmart today called Lloyd's. We had one in Middletown and Newburgh. I didn't even know about the Middletown one. I went to the one in Newburgh, and they had one section by the pharmacy that was just all comics and magazines, and I hit that place up every week. And I even remember I couldn't get Man of Steel #4, and I was devastated. And I had all these old comics that my mom had just ordered me from Mile High. There's an advertisement in Man of Steel #2, right, where Superman rescues, you know, Lois from trying to drown herself, but she secretly has, like, you know, the aqua lung in the car with her. And like the next page is like, hello, Captain Comic Collectibles. The next page is this ad for Mile High Comics and all these 50-cent comics. So my mom ordered me all the 50-cent comics. So I got all sorts of the New Adventures of Superboy, a few Legion of Superheroes, which helped me discover them, and discover them only months before they would factor into my appreciation of them. And a few Super Team Family, anything with the word super, she had them send it to the house. That was on the 50-cent list. And in one of the, I told you, Brian, these are long stories. In one of the advertisements in one of my older comics was for Heroes World in New Jersey. Well, guess what? They were still open, not in their original location. They had moved into the mall in Paramus, right? And collecting with Durs. Hello. So we found them in Paramus and we went down there. And of course, it was easy to coerce my brother and sister. They get to go shopping, right? And I just wanted to go to the comic book store, and I got my Man of Steel #4 there. And yes, that's my answer to the first question.
Wow, no, that's good. That's that your mom helped,
Oh, that
keep
woman,
the hobby going for you.
That woman has done more than enough for me my whole life, but most importantly, during those years where I was just whatever kind of nerd I was, my mother's like, people were like, why are you buying him so many comic books? She had one friend who agreed with her, by the way, right? And everyone's like, I don't know why you spend this money on your kid. She's like, my kid is reading and he has all this crazy comic book knowledge, but my kid is reading and my kid is not doing all these other horrible things I have to worry about.
Not out in the street, not out in the neighborhood getting in trouble.
Exactly. And which was a very real thing back then. And it was funny, but one of her friends, I'll never forget, may she rest in peace. She was like, no, I agree with you, Lydia. Oh my goodness. She's like, I wish my daughters cared about comic books. She goes, I'm always worried about where they are and who they're with and what they're doing.
That's funny. So do you still have those? Any of those books? Do you still have all those
I have
books?
that Man of Steel run. I have part 1 and part 2 of Death in the Family that I picked up off of that rack. I have my first issue of All-Star Comics, which was one of the first loose comics I ever picked up. There's 3 issues of Superman where he's battling Vartox, right? My mom, before I could read, my mom would read those to me. I picked those up at a CVS drugstore, and she would read them to me all the time. And Vartox was battling for Lana Lang, and she read those to me all the time. All of this was just, and I have all of those comics. I have all of them.
And do you look at those advertisements today and cry at the prices of some of those books?
No, because lots of things are terrible. So whatever. It's just like, oh my God, do you know aliens are super real and there's a mothership hanging out at the end of our solar system? Right. How much do you care? It's I'm too traumatized by life. I'm sorry. You're trying to distract me now at this point in life where I don't know how to afford my comics, my gasoline, my grocery bill. It's a dangerous juggling game.
Yeah, I'm not going to worry about aliens. I got too many other things I need to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, please. I was like, for some people, it's let them kidnap me. It'll be a vacation.
I saw a meme today saying, I don't want to go to work on Monday. I'm outside trying to get abducted.
Listen, if you really want to be abducted, Grant Morrison says, just smoke some weed and sit on a roof in Kathmandu, and that'll do it.
All right. So now let's move on. We'll move on to our second question, which is usually talking about your YouTube channel. How did you start YouTube? So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and more specifically about, the Council of Comics?
Okay. So the Council of Comics is Sam's creation. And basically, I mean, he had started his channel with his music, and then, this is going to be really fun for when you have him on and you can do all this with him. But at some point, much like other people, like our dearly departed friend Angel, it was like in the midst of the pandemic, it's like, hey, I like this stuff. I can do this too, And again, if I'm wrong, I apologize. It's to the best of my memory. But he was just like, yeah, I love this. And, he started getting back into things because there was a gap where he also wasn't collecting. Apparently, as I'm watching videos and catching up, a lot of you guys, I don't think you specifically, Brian, but a lot of people had a big gap in their life with comics.
Oh, I did.
And then COVID. And then all of a sudden you're back. In the meantime, I'm on the other end. I'm like, I've been waiting for y'all. Where have you been?
Yeah,
I've been out here doing the work.
Yeah. No, there's a handful that have kind of collected, through the years, but most of us have had that gap where we've gone away, whatever it was, family, college, whatever, and then we came back. But there's a few like you who've collected throughout the years. So
And it's really funny because I do have like these whole moments of like I stopped right after high school and I wanted to sell my collection for college. And this dude lowballed me, right? And it was like really upsetting. And I was like, okay, forget this. Like, I guess that plan just doesn't work for me, you know? Um, so like, oh, as Vaughn is saying, 2 more days to get your nominations in.
right, 2 more days, close Saturday night.
So that's right. Comic Book Community Awards, which is, you have to tell me more about that. I want to know how that got started.
Sure, I can tell you.
But anyhow, so in college, of course, it was back to square one. I'm really trying to like discover myself or whatever. God knows what was going through my head. And but Final Night was coming out during my college years, right? Also, college did not work out. I was too interested in anything but actual education. But the thing is, but I'm like collecting. I've got like a couple short boxes hiding in my room, right? And like I got like the Superman's wedding album in there, and like my roommates are like, "Cliff, what is this?" I was like, "Nah, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's like I caught you reading a comic book, Cliff." I'm like, "Nah." I was like, "No." It's like, who's that Green Lantern dude? I'm like, "That's Parallax. He's bad now." But it wasn't too bad. Like of all the things that I could have been judged and harassed about, that I was kind of left alone. Oh my God, S. Vaughn, I like you too. I like you too. I like you so much. You have no idea. When Angel passed, I was like playing catch up on all those videos, and it's like, and it's hard, like, because his family has had a really hard time watching anything with him in it, which is completely understandable.
Oh,
But
sure,
like,
yeah.
but like for me, it was like the reverse. Like I'm like, oh my God, I miss him, and I miss arguing about movies with him, and like I'll play the videos and just watch you guys interacting. It's really great, and I'm just so upset that like I'm so upset took him passing to be the time where I started interacting with you folks more. Like just prior to that, I was just getting keen. He always talked about how the YouTube community is what brought him in,
Right.
and surprisingly, for how friendly we all are with him at the shop, he actually was quite an introvert,
Yeah, he had said that. He said
Yeah.
that he was really, yeah.
But and his mom, like my friend Steve and I, when we went to the wake, his mom was like, I can't believe my son had friends at the comic book store, and so quickly he moved up from Florida. It's like, oh yeah, there's these guys at the shop. She's like, you made friends. She's like, you barely leave. You barely leave the trailer.
Right.
So like, anyhow, that said, I've been watching the videos. Y'all are great. I'm so happy that I mean, at least we're connected now, and
Yeah, and I mean, the first time I think I got introduced to the council, and Sam was on Empire's 1,000 subscriber. He was doing a 1,000 subscriber, celebration, and he was doing some giveaways, and I was on, and I wasn't really connected with Sam's channel, and then, I started following his channel, and I saw the videos that you guys were doing, and I love the idea of, New Comic Book Day. You guys are talking about the new releases, and it's just, you can see the shop to me looks like a big space where you guys can just hang out.
it really is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
And this version of the shop is my favorite, I think. And it's very comic centric. I can't say that about too many people. Are asking who I am in the chat. That's great.
Yeah, so I'll give you the 15-second overview of how I got connected with Cliff. So Empire Comics, right? We were just talking about it. I was on his 1,000 subscriber giveaway and celebration, and Sam from Council of Comics was on, and so that's how I got introduced. And I had heard Angel Empire talk about the Council of Comics before, but I never connected it with the YouTube, with the channel, and so that's how I got connected, and then started watching some of the videos, and then, um, you know, Empire would talk about the shop and where he picked books up. And then I started watching the videos and kind of pieced it together that, oh, you guys are, hanging out at the shop doing, um, weekly videos. And so Cliff is a part of the Council of Comics. You see him hanging out on that channel, and that's how we got connected. And then really when we got the news about Empire, passing, um, I reached out because there was that initial first couple hours when there was the post by his daughter on his YouTube channel. People thought maybe somebody got hacked and maybe it wasn't real. Everybody was hoping that it wasn't real, and then I reached out to Sam, the council, and I knew the comic book shop, and so I reached out because the comic book shop's on Instagram as well, and I reached out, and then sadly we got word that it was real, that it was posted from his family, and that he actually had passed away, and that was a shock,
Yeah.
because to me Angel really seemed like he was kind of just hitting his stride, like he was opening up mystery boxes and he was starting to do some live streams. So I think his YouTube channel was kind of growing, and he was growing, as somebody on YouTube. And when I heard that news, it was like it hit me hard because I just felt there was so much positive around him and his channel, and I know what a hard worker he was and what a great dad he was. He was dedicated to taking care of his kids, and then knowing the backstory a little bit about him losing his wife and all that just made it that more heartbreaking. It was just really heartbreaking to know that. And so there's certainly a connection for me now with you guys because you were his comic book family in person. So
And right, and you were part of the family that brought him back to comics. So like it absolutely
yeah,
there is
no,
that connection.
we had that instant connection with everybody because we collect, right? We love comics, we collect comics. And so that's that. Whether you meet somebody for the first time, we had that instant connection, for
It's
the love of comics.
it's a beautiful love language, right?
Yeah.
Like comics is his own love language. I mean, not to get like overly sentimental, but comics is his own love language. Um, comics journey.
Yeah. And if you don't know Comic Journey,
Does he sing? Does he dance? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! On the spot. Oh Lord. I mean, I don't really dance. I do a little stand-up comedy once in a while, and I do a little singing.
Nice. All right. All right. So did you finish your answer for question 2 about the YouTube channel and the Council of Comics?
Oh my god, I think I did. Yeah,
we kind of got sidetracked.
Sam and I reconnected through the comic book store a little bit, and then like heavier, we ran into each other at Albany Comic Con. Like we kind of planned on it, and so like then we had like a really good Albany Comic Con video, and then he's like, okay, I really want to do this, and like like go to the shop, etc. And then that was it. And then the Sunday night movie box office reviews, the Monday night what's coming out this week, the Tuesday filming of New Comic Book Day was born.
Yeah, you guys.
I hope you're enjoying those skits, by the way. Woo.
Yes. It's fun. You can see you guys are having fun and just hanging out.
We're also dying. It's great. It's like, how many takes is this gonna be? I was like, oh my god, this is like real acting. I was like, someone pay those people. Of course they're striking.
I definitely want to come up and visit the shop because and I was planning it. I'm like, well, maybe I'll come up, like one weekend, but I'm like, I think I want to come up on a Tuesday when everybody's hanging out and filming. So,
that would be super fantastic. Super fantastic.
Do
that. I will take the day off. I
think that's going to be my plan. I think
do not do the first week of September because I'll be in Canada.
Okay.
Anytime before or after, you are super welcome.
All right. Good. Yeah, definitely want to make a trip up. So why don't we move on to our next question? If you had creative control over a character, comic book character, or a series, and could reboot it or rewrite it or do something different with it, who would you Who would you tackle? What would you do?
Oh, Sam, that's so sweet. I incredibly love Superman, and I like that's what got me into comics. That's what got me into everything. So I'm tempted to say Superman, but I've seen a lot of great renditions of Superman, so I maybe I would just kind of leave that alone. I'm content with him being married to Lois, and they have kids, adopted kids now too, whatever. But maybe the Teen Titans, because like I just feel like it keeps missing its mark. Like
Okay.
I'm the last time where I felt even like the slightest bit scintillating was what do you call it? Was the Jeff Johns run.
Okay.
Where I was like really like digging it, and it played with, you know, brother blood and Trigon and like what's up with Superboy's powers. I like Crypto hanging out with them. I like Starfire and Cyborg training. Like I really enjoyed, what we had going on there. So that's about it. Maybe I would do that one because I always feel like every time they reboot it, it just is kind of a miss.
Misses the mark. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or I would reboot Donna Troy and give her a whole series. I would just be like, look, we're going back to basics. You're Wonder Woman's sister. That's it. Here's your lasso. Get out there.
All right. Two good choices. All right. So our next question, our fourth question is, what is one thing that is a negative or in comic book collecting or the community, in YouTube community? Like, what's one thing you don't like?
Man, the way people will turn on a dime, and they can't. We love comics, but people just can't wait to poo-poo all over it. Like, I mean, okay, I'm guilty. I'm so guilty. I hate on Dark Crisis constantly. And like people are like, Cliff, that's not even like the worst thing. People are like, that's not even the worst thing ever. I'm like, yo, it's bad. I'm just like, it's just so upsetting. I was so hyped for this. And Williamson's like a better writer than this. His Superman's very good. I'm even enjoying, Night Terrors, even though it's interrupting my regular flow of comics, but I'm having a good time with it. So I just feel like, as usual, I'm just going to have to blame editorial. I blame editorial heavily for what's going on in Amazing Spider-Man,
Oh yeah. I've heard that. I've heard that there's some meddling with that storyline. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and
yeah,
I'm trying to get through it.
And Zeb previously did Spider-Man and did it very well. So like It's clear the disconnect is real, and he's just trying to make it work with what he's given.
Yeah, the last couple issues with the Doc Ock storyline has been better. Definitely.
Definitely. It's kind of on the upswing. I feel like because all the stuff that he had to do is out of the way. Right. Even Kamala's already back. It didn't even take a whole month.
Right. Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. That was rather quick.
It was awful. Just awful. It was awful. And of course there's people who are hating on the Hellfire Gala. I don't care. That was like great.
I've heard some positive things about it.
No, listen, it's a great jumping on point for a lot of people. And if you don't mind, Simply Incredible podcast. Thank you. It's just full of shock and like one of my friends called it gore porn, because it's just like, they just start slaughtering mutants left and right. And I'm like, okay, but like, we know they'll be back in some capacity. But one of my friends who critiqued it is like, I'm just tired of this always being the thing for the X-Men. There's always a massacre, right? This is like the second mutant massacre, right? But like, there was like, they named like all these different things, like the Genosha tragedy, when Genosha was full of mutants and, that got smashed, even during Uncanny Avengers, I think Wanda tried to go back and like teach mutants there. and that ended poorly again. Like, so people keep bringing by like lots of things where like this is like, why is the X-Men always have to fall, you know, for us to be interested? So, but I do think that like they had kind of hit their peak. And yeah, you know, the story is like not perfect, but it's engaging. And like, and X-Men 25 after, I really enjoyed it. Astonishing Iceman and How Iceman Survived, I thought was a super fun book, you know? And so I've enjoyed it. I don't know how everybody feels. Greetings, sleepy reader. I don't know how everybody feels about Shadow Cat with a K, but you know, she's done the ninja thing before, except now she's a little more murdery. You know, and a lot of people are like, no, that's not her. And I'm like, listen, a lot of these superheroes, you know, do their murdering, you know, it's especially when they're on the brink of extinction. That like might be a thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I picked up the Astonishing Iceman this week.
Yes,
I haven't read
yes.
it yet, but picked that
Oh
up.
man,
Interested to see. Yeah.
it's really good. I'm really happy with it. Steve Orlando wrote it. I think he knocked it out of the box. So I mean, like, I don't want to ruin it for you. I'm just gonna keep it to myself, but it's pretty cool.
Good. That's good to hear. Yeah. And there's a few others, right? There's the other book I think that's coming out that I'm interested in reading is Alpha Flight, because we haven't
Yes,
really seen
I'm
that.
interested in that. But also, Kurt Wagner Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious about
Yeah,
that.
that'll
I
be
was like, I
interesting.
haven't, of all the crazy Spider-Man hijinks that we've had, Nightcrawler as a Spider-Man. I'm here for that.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
I'm moving on to towel number 2.
All right, we try not to make our guests sweat. We just try to.
Yes, Iceman did melt, but you got to read Astonishing Iceman number 1 to figure out how it came back together.
All right, so that was the 4 questions. Like I said, the standard questions that we ask everybody. So our next 2 are going to be random questions. Now, I usually come up with a random. The 5th question is my random question. Then I have a list of questions that we'll pick from. But I was trying to come up with a good, I wanted to talk a little bit about Empire, and we did that. So anything else that you can share? And you guys did, the Council of Comics did a wonderful tribute to him. There's a video, and I didn't add it to the description, but I will. If you haven't, go check it out. Council of Comics. There's a tribute to Empire Comics Angel. But
Yes,
and what I loved to see in the video was him just hanging out in the shop, laughing, smiling, having a good time. It was a great video to see. And I'm trying to figure out my question, but anything else that you what else could you share about Empire? I was hoping to meet with him. We had talked about maybe going to meet up at a con, and it just never happened. So anything else that you may want to share about him? And
well, first I want to give Sam credit for editing that video and making it beautiful, because that opening, like, I watched it with my mom here in the living room and we were both crying. My mom didn't even know him and full tears. And like, he does wonders editing our stuff and making it shine. But at the wake, we learned that his mom's nickname for him since birth is Pitchy.
Okay. Yeah, I did see a picture of that, a picture of him and with that. Yeah.
And so like Steve and I are moving around, and it's funny, his mom is the first person who came to us, right? Man, this is gonna turn into a funeral story. I'm so sorry. But anyhow, we came in, and like you could go straight ahead in the wake, or you could go to the side room. And Steve is like, oh, let's like turn here, because we wanted to grab the
I know what you mean. Yeah, the card, or
the card and stuff, right? And his mom looks at us and she's like, "Are you guys from the comic book store?" Like instantly, And like it was so funny. And I guess because she didn't recognize us as anyone else, and
right.
B, she said she pushed herself to watch a couple of videos that morning.
Oh wow.
And I thought that was so sweet. She's like, "You have to meet his father." So we met his father. You have to meet his daughter. So we met his daughter, who jumped on the YouTube page. And then we met his sister, who's wonderful. And then I had to ask, where did Beachy come from? Right. And she goes, I'm pregnant and I'm in my room and I'm sharing with another pregnant woman. And she's like, oh, I can't wait for Peachy to get here, and she's just like, who is Peachy? Oh, my brother-in-law. She's like, you're more excited about your brother-in-law meeting your new baby than anyone else, right? So that was it. She was just like, I've never heard anyone so crazy. So that he got his nickname because this woman kept repeating that name, Peachy. And a year later, they ran into each other at the beach. And this woman hears her calling her baby, her toddler, Beachy, right? And she's like, what'd you call your son? And she's like, Beachy. Why? She goes, oh my God, we were in the hospital room together. So that's a little fun story for you.
That's funny.
Oh my God. So one of my, I'll just tell you one of my favorite moments that you guys kind of have seen on video if you followed either of us. For his, what was his 1,000 subscriber giveaway, he there was that Miles Morales 9.8, right?
Yes.
So we kind of have it on video where we're in the store, we're trying to pick something off the wall that would be appropriate, and it's like, and there's Miles, doing like the web thing, right? And he's like, I like this cover. I'm like, it's beautiful. And he's like, but Miles's balls are kind of in your face though, right? And I was like, are you really serious? Is this what's going to stop you? And by the way, and Brian, you know what comic I'm talking about because it's currently in one of your giveaways. The raw version, right?
Right. Yeah.
And he was just like, I don't know, maybe we should look for something else. I was like, this is beautiful. This is a gorgeous cover.
Yeah,
and
John Jang cover, yeah.
The John Jang cover, right? And then our friend Josh comes through and he's like, this one's great. And he's like, and of course I replayed the clip of this after Angel passed. And he's like, oh yeah, but you said that, your balls are in your face. I was like, I actually didn't say that. I actually said pick it in spite of that. But like that was a good one. My biggest back and forth with him, which went on for multiple weeks, was he really didn't like Ant-Man Quantumania, and I was like, dude, that was a pretty solid movie, and he's like, I can't. He's just like it just didn't work for me, and he's like, it's like a 4.5 out of 10. And I was like, what? Oh. I was like, Michelle Pfeiffer was fantastic. Every moment she shared with Jonathan Majors was scintillating. Oh God, I honestly I miss that most of all. I love that. I love those back and forths, and I'm so sad that one of the last things that we messaged each other about was that he had not watched Andor yet.
Oh, and wow. Okay.
And I made a comment to him, and I mean, it's gonna haunt me forever, right? And I was like, "What are you waiting for? Life is short. Get on it."
Oh wow.
And I'm just like.
And that's it. You just never know, right? I think that was the shocking piece of it, right? Because we were on a stream with him, or I had watched a video of him from just 2 or 3 days ago, and then he was gone.
How about hours before his passing, he's commenting on our live feed,
right? Yeah,
about the comics of the week,
right?
And Steve at the store, he started messaging Angel, and Steve's the one who went to the wake with me. He had started messaging Angel. He's like, dude, normally I have a list from you. Like, what's up? And no answer. And he didn't think anything of it. He just assumed, Angel's like probably working real hard and he'll probably come in
busy
in a bit. Yeah. Right. And like, we didn't even talk about it. And it's so funny because that week, Sam was in LA and we were trying to record something in the store. And that was the week where there was no audio on any of the video. That same Tuesday, while none of us knew, right? And then, of course, Wednesday morning, we all knew.
Right, you get the news, yeah.
So, and I, when I was at the wake, we're talking about they had, I guess, like in the beginning, because he was having trouble breathing that night. It was like, oh, was it his asthma or whatever? But like ultimately, it was a heart attack, and.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. I wasn't sure what exactly.
Yeah. And it's. I mean, and of course, like I feel like his daughter felt like, oh, I have to tell you guys because like I know you're his people, right?
Right.
And of course, so in the same spirit of that, like I'm sharing with the community because like I don't want it to be like this ongoing mystery. but so and I was just sad, and I mean, at least he was with his family, you know.
Right. Right.
But it's sad, and I think what everyone universally is, and there's a lot of sadness and there's a lot of grieving going on. Do not get me wrong. I think universally everyone's just so sad that his two youngest children um, are orphans now, essentially, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
that, if you didn't know, the backstory, right? His wife had passed away. And, he, like I said, I knew him as a dedicated father. He always took care of his kids first. He was working really hard, a lot of hours and stuff. And so, the YouTube, and the community was more like a release, his fun that he could have.
yeah.
And yeah, that's what made it so tough. The fact that it was such a sudden thing for him, for his passing, and to know that, for his children, I felt so bad because, they had lost both their parents in what, 4 or 5 years. It's,
Mhm.
I mean, having children of my own, it was a gut punch. It was so upsetting to know those details and to lose such a great, somebody who I really enjoyed watching and liked. And it was just so sudden, and then all the circumstances was just,
And it's
yeah.
just, and I mean, we have a good time at the shop on Tuesdays, right? But like, I mean, we're all still thinking about him all the time. There is just uh just that like breath of emptiness, you know?
Yeah.
And look, his kids are currently with his parents, so I think,
Right. Right. I mean,
safe.
I know, he moved recently to be closer to family, and
Yeah,
so, luckily that was in place. There's some support for the children, right?
yeah,
I know, they did a GoFundMe, and it hit the goal, so at least there's some financial help as well. I mean, obviously that doesn't, the emotional stuff is there for forever, but I was good to see that, um, knowing the situation, like I said, for his kids, that they had support from the family, and like I said, there's some financial support as well that was you know there as well. So
yeah. And there may be more to come on that front. Yeah, S1E2, that broke my heart. Yeah. I know.
yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that for the kids and for the family that they can, it's tough. I've lost some siblings over the years, and it's never easy, right? It's always a reminder. There's always something that triggers a memory of a family member, and it's never easy. It doesn't get, it never gets easy to,
You know, of so there's two stories about loss from two different shows. One is from Glow on Netflix, where the producer guy who like tried to make all this happen, he got to know his daughter, and then his daughter like had to go home, go back to her mom, and he's like, it's like you've prepared this room in your heart, and now that person's gone, and the room is empty, but I still have the room,
right,
right?
right,
And and um and I thought that was very powerful, and it resonated with me. And a more recent one that was really beautiful on the sequel to Sex in the City, and just like that, there is, the main character, Carrie Bradshaw. She's become a widow, and she's talking with another widow in season 2, and the older woman is like, hey, like there's this hole, and you're always thinking about that person. If they would have enjoyed this, if they would have enjoyed that, what would it be like if they were here? And she goes, and then you start to realize there's a garden growing around that hole, you know? And of all freaking shows, right? That got me really emotional. And so both of those things about people making a space in your heart, and then they're gone, and then there's something there, whether it's the empty room with your memories of how you love them and knew them, or a garden of how much you are growing around that hole of how you appreciate them, right? But the sense of emptiness and loss like remains. And I mean, the first person I ever lost was like my grandmother when I was 13, and that was very difficult because she lived with us, right? And then, I mean, there was just like, there were like people you knew, like friends of family, and that was like sad, But then, like when my father passed away, that was really hard, and that was 16 years ago, right? Um, so like, those things just kind of stay with you and shape you, and that grief was like deep, you know.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and it's really funny because I remember I had a really hard year at the end of 2018. Mid to end of 2018 was very difficult for me. And I was heartbroken, somebody dumped me. And I had that same pain, right? And I was talking to my therapist about it, and I was like, man, like I haven't grieved like this since I lost my dad. I was like, I got dumped. And my therapist is like, you're grieving like your loss. Like it's loss. That's where grief is coming from. He's like, you were picturing a future with this person, and you thought, you were really happy, and
No, it's
here
gone.
you are.
Yeah.
On top of other things like my job at the time that I loved, the school shut down. We were out of money, and we were out on the street literally in one afternoon.
Oh wow.
Like and a bunch of other stuff that. So like, yeah, I was just like in my little depression pool. And now I'm a care navigator for other people, and I'm constantly advocating for mental health. So there you go.
No, and that's one of the other things I think about the community is that it's supportive. It's a supportive group of people, and there's been channels that talk. Scott Vaughn, he does a Monday night comic addicts show, and he talks, comics, and he has artists and things, but he's also talking about, addiction and mental health and those type of things. And I think that's the one, because we have the connection with comic books, we can be a little bit open about some other things, or and I see it on like just Instagram, like people checking in with other people, or people sharing their cell phone number and texting, checking in. Hey, I haven't seen this person in a couple of days, let me check in with them and make sure everything's okay, that type of thing. And so it's a supportive community, and I think we need that, right? There's so many
Absolutely.
people that are dealing with things that we don't know about.
I mean, constantly things we don't know about. There's so much that we keep inside, and so many social constructs that make us keep it inside, right?
Right, right, right.
So it's just like it's very hard.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it's good that within this community that people are talking about it, so that hey, if somebody is struggling with something and they're feeling like, hey, I can't talk to anybody about that they know there's people within this community that you can reach out to, and whether it's through a message or calling or whatever it may, a direct message or whatever, that there are people that will lend an ear or give you some advice, or just listen. I think sometimes that's we just need to vent, and we need an ear to listen.
They're particularly my last deal with depression, major depression, whatever word to call it, right? There were specific people I reached out to because I was depressed, and I'm like, hey, like I know you went through a really terrible divorce a year and a half ago, and like, can I talk to you about like what I'm feeling right now? And like, and that was just one of my friends who was like, hey, I understand a lot of how you're feeling. Maybe a little bit different, but still some similarities there. But like, and it's really important. And there have been times where I've been there for others. But and especially now, I joined the Zero Suicide Commission. So like, instead of CPR, we teach QPR, which is like if you sense something is off, how to engage and get involved. But
Wow.
I
Okay.
always tell people, a lot of people are uncomfortable and awkward. I was like, listen, if you don't know what to do and you don't know who to go to, use your phone, right? You can call 988, the national hotline, and be like, hey, I'm with someone and I don't know what to do. And can you talk to them? Right? Like that's the bare minimum worst case scenario.
Right.
Better case scenarios, you can go, hey, so-and-so, I'm not as close to this person as you are. I'm really worried about them. Please talk to them, And it's like, well, what made you worry? I'm like, the way this look that they had on their face, they said something really strange to me in the kitchen, whatever that may be. I've even advocated at work. I'm like, let's do skits at work. Like, let's do skits where it's like a guy and his, like, I'll get my own niece to play my niece, like just me and my niece, like washing dishes in the kitchen, talking, and she says something and I catch it and we have a chat, you know?
Right. Something, yeah,
Um,
out of the ordinary, right? Unusual. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. But the thing is, it's like, it is usual, right? And a lot of people are uncomfortable and it's awkward and they ignore it, you know? And then, that's
Yeah.
it.
It could, yeah, lead to something worse. Yeah.
Yes. So again, so QPR is like, thank you, Scotty. QPR is about like recognizing it and doing something. So like even like my friend posted something super sad, super depressing the other day. I sent him a message and I'm like, I just want to make sure you're right. I sent a friend of his message who like lives in the same area. I said, listen, and I said, I'm not even sure how close you are to him, but reach out. And of course, he reached out to two closer friends.
Oh, okay.
And like so they all did a check-in. I said, do not bombard ex-friend, just check in,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm sure. Okay. Yeah.
um, which of course thankfully was effective, you know. um, Boy, we're just full of joy tonight here on Comic Book
No,
Community.
but it's
These are
good to
important
talk about these
topics.
things because there, there's somebody that needs to hear it, right? So that's the good thing about talking about these things.
You know, did I don't know if you know about the Superman fan film that came out a few days ago, Superman Solar.
No, I don't.
If you look it up on YouTube, it's there. It's like 30 minutes. But the meat of the story is Superman talking to this young man who wants to jump off a building, which we've seen before in All Star Superman and even in Action Comics. A lot of people forget that it's been done twice and both very well. But this young man is like, I don't know, like these people make me feel like garbage, like, and then they'll be the ones crying when I'm gone, and and Superman does the whole speech about like, if you really think that there won't be a better tomorrow or day after that, etc., then against everything I stand for, I'll let you do what you feel you have to do. He's like, or you can take my hand. And that's how they ended it. But while he was saying to him, how could you possibly know what I feel like? He's telling him all sorts of stuff. He's like, well, my name is Clark, and I grew up in Smallville, and I'm an alien. And that was really hard for me as a kid, and I never felt like I fit in, And then he's like, oh, and he's like, you're nearly indestructible. Like, how could you know about these struggles and pains? And then it cuts to him battling Brainiac, I think in the Grand Canyon or something, right? And Brainiac makes him bleed, and he gives Brainiac the speech from Justice League Unlimited, where it's like, he's like, you've shown me that I can bleed, and that makes me feel more human than ever. And that also means I can cut loose. And then he lets out like supernova heat vision on Brainiac. And of course, it's like really touching, and it touches on Superman and Lois, Superman and Lex at the end, and there's a little after credits where he finds a Batarang.
Oh well, all right. I gotta check that out. That's
But
good.
it's an entire fan film. I mean, it's by far not perfect. And the best actor in the whole thing is the kid attempting to jump off the building. Like, he's great. Everybody else is like, okay, we need some retooling here. The Lex isn't too bad. But woo! What great! So much positivity tonight.
All right. Well, let's maybe we'll change the subject with our final random question. So I have a list of 50 questions. Just give me a number 1 through 50, and we'll see where we land.
23.
23. Well, maybe we're not going to change the. It's what do you do to overcome a personal setback?
Oh my God, can we change the question?
We can pick another one. We can pick another number.
Oh my God, I feel like we covered a lot of that.
No, we did. We did. All right, give me another number.
26. Let's see.
26.
A few ahead.
All right, if you could live in a movie world, which one would you pick and why?
Ooh. Wow, that's good. In a movie world.
I thought you might go Superman.
No, because I'm going to be really honest with you, I want to pick a movie world where I'll be happy, and like I would pick something. I know this is going to sound like ridiculous and it's not my official pick, but I can't think of something to make my point, but I would pick something like Clueless, you know?
Okay.
Like because like that because basically those characters got to be themselves and got to be content, you know?
Okay. That's a
And
good one.
like so that's the movie world that's a type of movie world I would want to live in. I want to be myself and I want to be content, and I don't want to worry about Brainiac invading,
Right.
and I don't or dark side's portals, or if we got blipped out of reality for 5
Right.
years.
Yeah, yeah. Any of the superhero movies are probably not a good.
No,
And then I
absolutely.
was thinking uh, when I saw that question, like, oh, maybe Star Wars. I'm like, no, everybody, the Death Star blows up, and
Yeah, Alderaan dies. I
right,
mean,
yeah,
like,
exactly. I
Neil
like it.
collects
Yeah,
Neil collects is stealing that question from you. I love it.
a good, I think a good comedy, setting is probably, a good way to go, or something lighthearted. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Action
Oh,
adventure,
you know
stay
what?
away.
You know what? Even though it's a little rough, but I've loved it so much. Bros, I would choose Bros. I could live in that universe. Happy queer people, even the negative queer people. Everyone kind of got a happy ending. I will take it. There's even a big dude in that movie running around being all happy and gay. So yes, I could accept Bros. It's reality adjacent. Oh, an X-rated movie. Well, on certain days, Neil.
Yeah, yeah. There's some advantage to that, right? Yeah.
Yes. Which by the way, Brian, one thing I want to steal from you is you have beautiful women showing off comics every once in a while. I think when I do more videos, I'm gonna find friends of mine to pose half naked with the comics.
Well,
And
one of so Breakfast with Brian this weekend we have the 5th is Cat Fan Comics Man's birthday, and so he has asked me that he doesn't want any ladies dancing for his birthday. He wants men dancing. So I have to do my homework tomorrow night before Saturday morning to get him some clips to make sure I accomplish that goal for him.
do it. Get out there. They exist. I mean, you might be a little traumatized, but it's gonna work.
So that was it. You made it through all of the questions, the 4 standard questions that we ask everybody, and the 2 random questions. So anything else that you want to mention or
Well,
talk
you know
about?
what? From question 23, something I've learned and something I'm advocating for, because we don't have a resource for it, and we have to cultivate a resource for it. So the last time I was really grieving, suffering with depression, not getting out of bed, sort of stuff. I mean, my mother was a big help. My friend Remy was a big help. But and that's the thing too. Like, that was my thing. I was reading all these old articles from Psychology Today. I'm just going through them, right? Reading about people in heartbreak and grief and loss, and like, how do you get out of that? And eventually someone put together an article for Psychology Today revisiting some previous thoughts, and who recuperated best. And the people who recuperated best were people who had loving friends and family around them. And a lot of people who I deal with in my work who are really depressed are very lonely and have very few, or sometimes no, friends or family around them to offer them
Right.
any comfort or anything. Um, and and we did a panel on grief, an online panel on grief at my work, and we talked about stuff. But I jumped in and I was like, we're not talking about what it takes to recover from this. I was like, you need support, you need friends and family, and you need people you can relate to. and we don't have that kind of resource, and we need it. I think we need more general support groups, to, or at least the means to facilitate them. you
Right.
know
Well,
so
and that's what I was going to say. Like any 12-step program, drug, alcohol support, it's a
yeah,
support group, right? It's people
right,
that have had similar experiences who can maybe help walk you through something that you're dealing with, or
absolutely,
just having that, the friendships and the meeting where you can, shake hands with somebody or sit next to somebody and talk to somebody, right? It's no, I mean, yeah, AA has 12 steps, but generally it's, just having similar people, people that have been similar things that you can just share, share with and bounce ideas off and talk to.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's a pretty important thing. And I mean, there's a variety of ways to go about it. And the, I mean, there are lots of options. I wish they were readily available for everyone. I feel like we just never have enough resources, and
Right.
it's a very serious struggle. I
Yeah. No, and I think having an online community, whether it's, YouTube or, social media, but they're, I think, and the younger generation, right? My kids, they've grown up with, you know, being online, being on social media. And so if we can leverage that in a way to try to reach more people, and even just like us talking about it tonight, somebody may catch us on the replay, or somebody who was here in the chat tonight may be struggling with something that we don't know about, and maybe just hearing some of the things that we're talking about may help them. So I think it's good that we continue, to have these type of conversations. So that maybe, like I said, it'll help that one person that needs to hear something.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and we never know, right? I mean,
Right.
my hope is that that people listen, people learn, but think want to end this on a lighter note.
Well, but
on, on a
I
lighter,
appreciate you being honest and sharing everything tonight and talking about, Empire and some of the things that, so
yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, he was a great dude, and what he was what you saw, and we just miss him. I miss talking comics with him. Um, on the bright side, I've got Sam, Ronaldo, Phil, Joey, Anthony, who runs the store Alterniverse that we visit every week. It's in Hyde Park, New York, if you ever want to visit or call for a comic. We have Josh, and Josh's kids are kind of getting into comics. That's actually like a really sweet story. We worked on a skit a few weeks ago. The opening is Josh talking to his kids about, picking up some comics. And his youngest is like, don't worry, we've got this. Right. And she's kind of trying to manipulate everyone to see what kind of comic she wants. And of course, I'm playing the role of the shady flipper, where I've previously had an encounter with her, and I just turn away and go, nope. Um, and then it ends really nice, where like the kids like picked up that Silver Surfer that he tried to mention at the beginning of the skit, and they have this lovely family hug. My mom absolutely loved this skit. And it's pretty funny too, because then I put on the sunglasses and go back to my evil ways because the kids are gone. But in reality, they went outside, they went to the little it's like an ice cream like burger place next to the store, right?
okay.
And so they went and had like a little like whatever, burgers, fries, hot dog, whatever, and ice cream. And the kids are like, oh, we want to go back into the comic book store and pick up a few comics,
Oh wow.
And like that was like so great. And Josh was like, oh my God, that was the best part of my night. So like to end it on a positive note, stuff like that that happens in our community is really beautiful. I've talked to people who feel lonely, but they're like a nerd like me. I'm like, dude, go to your shop on New Comic Book Day. You will find your people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna happen. It starts with small talk, and the next thing you know, you might be watching a soccer game together.
Right. Yeah. No. When
Or
I
in
go to
one
my
case,
shop, yeah, I go to my shop every Wednesday to pick up my books, and I see the same faces and we'll say hello, we'll talk about what we're picking up, you know what I mean? And that's, and that's what I love about watching the council videos from Tuesdays or Wednesdays, New Comic Book Day, because it seems like it's just a big hangout. You guys are having so much fun, just hanging out, talking comics, picking up your new books. It's I really enjoy watching those videos.
I'm so glad. I hope you're enjoying the skits. We put work
Oh
into
yeah.
the
Oh
skits.
yeah.
I think the last one was great. That Twilight Zone opening for Joey, where we're bombarding him with Ms. Marvel and America Chavez, and he's like, no. Oh my God, good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Like I said, the thing that I noticed right away is just you guys are having fun, right? You're
Absolutely.
collecting, comics, but you're all having fun, and I see that in the live streams that you guys do when you're discussing. When did you guys? Was it Sunday night? I think I was watching Sunday nights. Was there Sunday night live stream?
Sunday night is we do movies.
Movies. Okay. Now it was when you were talking. You were talking Secret Invasion, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
and and you know what, man? I feel like we've truly been too spoiled. We've gotten too much, right? Like,
oh yeah,
comics, stuff, sci-fi. Because Secret Invasion is pretty good, and people are just putting holes in it like Swiss cheese.
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, wow. I was like, if we got this 10 years ago, I feel like it would have been a different story. I'm like, I don't know. There's a reason they called that movie Endgame. It definitely put the hammer down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we may be, we're spoiled, right? We've had so much new content, whether it's been on the big screen or the streaming services, Disney Plus, that now I think we're getting too critical on every little thing. So I've liked most of the movies, most of the shows on like Disney Plus. It's entertaining, right? It's entertaining me, and like you said, it's compared to the stuff that we had 15, 20 years ago. This is so much better. Special effects and the I mean, I grew up, watching Spider-Man, throw a cargo rope at people. So,
yeah, and I love that guy.
Right, but
I'm like, please. When I was little, and it was for years. My mother used to tell me if there was a Superman on television, and I'm like, but I want to see it. And her friend lived further upstate. Actually, not even a friend, a relative for a friend at work, and he recorded hours of the Adventures of Superman on 2 VHS tapes for me.
Oh, really?
And sent them down with his brother, cousin, whatever. And he brought them to my mom, and I played those tapes forever. And then Channel 9, which eventually became UPN or whatever, they showed like an hour of Superman every Saturday. And every holiday, Jack Larson, who played Jimmy Olsen on the show, he would do the Superman marathon for Channel 9. And the episodes were unedited, and I was like so excited because I was like, oh, I don't remember that in the Superman episode where he lost his memory to hitting the asteroid, and all that stuff, and of course, like, I just that became a huge part of my childhood, even though it came long before my childhood. I remember I was sweating much more than this when I met Noel Neal at Wizard World Philadelphia, and she's just like, oh no, sit down here, calm down, right? And then we did the whole thing. She signed her book, she signed a photo for me, she signed a second photo for me that I gave to my supervisor at work. She was absolutely wonderful. And like, it's funny how these moments connect us. But like,
Adam West is still one of my favorite Batmans.
Oh man, one time, and again, it was Wizard World Philly. He was on like one of those golf carts, or like the carts you see at the airport, right? So, and it's him and Julie Newmar on the back of the cart, and they were just shuttling them around from the signing area to whatever area they were going to next. I thought that was so funny, and they looked so cute together. And man, there's so many things going on at just that one year, which is like 2009, I think. It just felt like everything was happening. And then I'm standing in line for an artist, but my line is the curvature of where of where Patrick Stewart is coming in.
Oh wow.
So I am literally standing next to Patrick Stewart and talking to him while this giant wall of fans is screaming and taking photos. And it was amazing. But I have a million of those stories. I don't want to keep everybody. I'm just
All
happy
right.
to
Well,
be here.
we'll have to get you back on or come on one of our live streams and just hang out with us. And maybe I don't know if Scott's still in the chat, but sounds like you would be a great guest to maybe talk, a little mental health or some different things on maybe his Monday night stream. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Of course. I was gonna say I just have to run to his Monday night stream before after our Monday night stream.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we can't sacrifice the council, right?
Right. I was like, we got to get that content out there, guys. I mean, like the community is waiting for us. East Coasters, West Coasters, Middle America. We need each other.
Well, Cliff, I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us tonight and being so honest and sharing a little bit about Empire and your own personal stuff, struggles, I should say. So I appreciate you coming on, and
I'm
I'll have
really
links
grateful.
down below in the description. So check out Cliff and you follow him on Instagram, and I'll update it to include your channel. I didn't include it initially, but we have Council of Comics and Cliff on Instagram. So definitely please go check them out.
My
So
my cliff on comics is just gonna be. I feel like it's just gonna be random stuff. So we'll see how that goes.
all right, that's not bad. Random's not bad. So, but I appreciate you being on. Thanks so much, and appreciate everybody in the chat watching, everybody hanging out with us, and anybody watching on the replay. So, thanks
Thanks for
everybody.
having me.
Have a great night.